It's California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are in Ventura on one of our road shows. We are joined today by Erik Nasarenko. He is the deputy mayor for the city of Ventura, which is basically vice mayor. And I want to get a sense for you. How is your councilship going? You've been in office for about...
It's 1 year.
Okay, so how's it going, my friend?
Almost to the day. I was elected November the 5th, 2013.
Nice.
I love it. It's a great opportunity.
Let me ask you, what made you decide to run for council? You're a deputy DA, you're a young father, presumably young in marriage as well. You know, it takes a lot of time to be a deputy DA and now a council member.
I've always had a long commitment to public service.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to step outside the courtroom if I could and
literally.
serve, literally,
not metaphorically, literally,
and serve the community as a council member, because I felt there was a void, and that void was someone who had young kids, someone who was working during the day. How do we bring in a new generation of leadership to Ventura? That was part of the platform, part of the theme I ran on. And you look at things a little bit differently, Brad. Libraries, parks, where are my kids going? What am I seeing when they go there? And how can I make it better?
And when you think about Ventura, it is such a beautiful family-friendly place. Great for tourists, but also great for families.
Absolutely right. Quintessential family town next to a beach. Great
Tough
schools.
Life, Tough life,
yeah, someone's got to do it.
Exactly.
But fantastic public school system, strong parks, long-time families that care about their community, want to see it grow, and want to keep it safe.
So I live in Los Angeles, and in Los Angeles, the city council is elected in off years. And what that city realized is that its turnout was so abysmal, it needed to do something. It hasn't yet, but it's looking at changing the cycle to put their elections on a regular year, even year cycle. I guess Ventura's wiser and more quick because you've decided to do that.
Finally.
Brad,
the charter, that's the governing document for Ventura, called for holding our elections on off years. So what was happening? We were getting 26% voter turnout.
LA County's good, but we won't talk about that.
But we know when we have elections on even years that we're at 56, 58, even on presidential cycles in the 70%. So it made sense from a voter turnout standpoint, but also from a cost standpoint, because when we hold an off-year election, we furnish all the costs.
The flip side, though, and one could argue that if the elections remain off-year, when there is that city council election, the focus becomes the city council. If you're on the same cycle as the presidential race, which I think that's what it's going to be. Oh, no, well, you have elections every 2 years.
Correct.
Right, so sometimes yes, sometimes no. But you're definitely going to be either presidential or gubernatorial. Could those elections get lost in the clutter?
See, I think just the opposite. It'll bring more eyes, more attention on the city council election because people will be aware that there's even an election. What's happening right now is we're in Ventura having elections every year. So there's almost a voter fatigue. Give me a year off, please. Well, now, because of what the voters did in early November, there will no longer be elections on off years. We'll consolidate them with the gubernatorial and the presidential, and I think we'll get more people focused on local governance as a result.
And to say the voters passed this measure really is an understatement because they passed it with 82% of the vote. I've never heard anything like that in my life.
Well, you know what's interesting about it? I did a little walking before the election, and a couple people captured it just perfectly. They said, oh yeah, we're going to support that. They're efficiency measures. And they did.
I want to ask also about how your city operates in terms of mayor, deputy mayor, and council. So there does seem to be a bit of a move toward directly electing the mayor, as opposed to the scenario whereby, like in the city of Ventura, there are 7 council members and the mayor rotates. What's your sense of that? I understand that your city is looking at that possibility as we speak.
We are. Ojai earlier this month
in
Ventura County decided through a ordinance that was placed before the voters to directly elect its mayor. They had historically appointed, as you just mentioned, from within the council. Santa Barbara, just our neighbor to the north, they directly elect a mayor. It's something we're studying. We have a commission that's looking into whether or not that is something that the city council may want to bring back to the voters at a future time.
What do you think?
I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, I do agree that it puts one person on point. It gives them a bit of an elevated platform. On the other hand, I typically equate directly elected mayors with larger cities.
I understand.
Long Beach, Los Angeles, not with a city.
But Ventura is not a small city. I mean, over 100,000 people. You think about kind of benchmarks, 50,000, and then you're, really a city that's operating. You're over 100,000.
We are. We're 108,000.
Right.
And in comparison, Oxnard,
Right.
very close by, also in Ventura County, they're about 200,000, and they too directly elect their mayor.
Right.
So I'm not opposed to
What about
it.
Ojai? Do you know how large they are?
Ojai's smaller.
Smaller,
Yeah,
okay.
significantly. So, maybe this is a trend of cities directly electing their mayor rather than appointing from within the council. I'd want to know the arguments, both pro and con, that this citizen task force will bring to council and then make an ultimate decision.
And there's also a question about if you do move toward that formula, will you look toward a strong mayor scenario or a weak mayor scenario? They both sound pejorative, and I don't intend them to be, but that's kind of a political science term.
And you know what, Brad, and that's part of my reservation,
Right.
frankly. When you look at large cities, their mayor is directly elected with power.
Right.
They can fire and hire department heads. When you look at a city of our size, 108,000 population, we have a city manager. We're a council manager format. So that council manager format invests the executive leadership in the city manager.
But you could still have a directly elected mayor with a strong city manager.
Absolutely,
You could.
sure. And the two could be working together. And I don't want to say that they don't do today, but there's an argument that says, hey, if you have a directly elected mayor, they'll elevate the entire city.
So I was recently interviewing a member of the California State Assembly named Chris Holden. If you don't know Chris, big tall
Yes.
guy, a great deep voice from Pasadena.
Right.
And he was carrying a bill. I wouldn't necessarily have expected him to be involved in this issue, and I cast no aspersions on the issue, but it dealt with massage parlors. And again, even that connotes something that seems sinister, but it needn't be such. What I didn't realize is Ventura had a vested interest in Mr. Holden's bill, which ultimately did pass.
It did pass. And Assemblymember Holden, who, as you mentioned,
Right.
comes out of Pasadena, was struck with a similar problem as Ventura.
Right.
The proliferation of massage businesses. In Ventura County, we have here in the city of Ventura more massage businesses than in any other municipality.
And again, these are legitimate massage businesses. This is not your shady hoping for something to happen at the end of the massage. This is legitimate.
I mean, we have 67 in the city of Ventura. In comparison, Oxnard, a city which is half our size, has about 35. So if that gives you any sort of context. Now, you're right, the vast majority of these are indeed legitimate. But what happens is we're simply oversaturated. We have too many. And
Why? Do we know why? I mean, Ventura, I think of it as, like we said, family friendly, tourists, but not overwhelming.
well, part of it is because the rents were affordable to the businesses. And what happened, Brad, there was a law that took effect in 2008, and it essentially said this. If you as a city want to regulate massage businesses, you have to regulate them no different than you would an orthodontic, accounting, or lawyer practice. It considered them all to be professional services. So that basically stripped away local land use control from cities like Ventura. Now, because of the bill sponsored by Assemblymember Holden and others, we have that authority back.
And so now what has Ventura done?
We adopted a moratorium, basically saying we're not going to issue any new massage business licenses for up to 2 years because we simply have too many.
But not closing what's existing.
No, it's not retroactive in any way, and the moratorium will take effect January 1, the same date in which the state law takes effect.
His name is Erik Nasarenko. He is the deputy mayor of the beautiful city of Ventura, where we are today on our roadshow. It's Brad Pomerance, California Edition.